Hi everyone, I'm Miriam Macri and I come from Italy, from the south of Italy in particular. I work from English and German and also Spanish sometimes into Italian. And I'm a translator, interpreter, and copywriter. Thanks to Prods, I got a lot of benefits. Networking with colleagues, but also I got also the possibility to do mentoring meetings with young people who are trying now to approach the market. I love the blue board in Prods because it gives you the possibility to check if the possible leads are suggested or not loyal at all. I think that Prods also gives you the possibility to do a lot of things. Invoicing, for example, but also finding for new job opportunities and new customers. I got different customers thanks to Prods, and I'm still collaborating with them. I'm specialized in business, automotive, tourism, and more. I suggest to everyone to join the Prods network because I think that this is a good opportunity to grow for you both personally and professionally. Even because Prods gives you a lot of tools that of course can just improve the quality of your translation services, but also not just translation services, but language services in general. So I hope you can join our network and see you soon. Bye.
Hello, my name is Adrian. I'm a German translator from Switzerland, currently working with a beautiful view in Hungary, in the countryside. I am a long-time Pros member already for many, many years. Especially in the beginning, it really helped me out immensely to get my career going. Nowadays, I don't spend that much time on the platform itself, but I still do benefit from especially three benefits massively. Number one being paid members get ranked higher in search than non-paying members, which means a lot of people contact me through the website, and I can then see if this is actually beneficial for me or not. Number two is invoicing. I use their invoicing tool every month. Beginning of the month, I write my invoices with Pro's invoicing tool. It's perfect. I feel like it's tailored towards translators, and I use it every month. And number three are the training resources. For the membership price that you pay anyways, you also get great resource for training, for especially in the beginning when you don't have that much work yet. You can really spend a lot of time on there and just do all the trainings, all the courses for free, basically included in the price. And also if you're a seasoned professional, there's always something, workshops, webinars, interesting things happening. So these three things are the main reason why I really enjoy paying for Pro's membership. And I think it's great for any translator out there, so highly recommend it.
Hi, I'm Romina Escarihuela, an English, Portuguese, and Spanish conference interpreter born and based in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I guess I've been a ProZ member for more than 10 years now, and it's a real pleasure for me to be part of this community. And if you are thinking about investing in this platform, I really encourage you to do so. When I started working as an interpreter, I decided to join first because I've got lots of resources with the glossaries and the queries that I could do and the questions that I could submit to the community. At that time, 10 years ago, I was working mostly as a translator, so it was wonderful to get more experience in working with ProZ at the time. And then I hit one of my most important interpreting clients through ProZ back in 2015, I guess. It was a multinational company that was looking for medical interpreters in the language combination of English and Portuguese in Buenos Aires, something that's very hard to find here. And well, I've been working for them ever since, now also remotely, not only in on-site events. And besides getting this wonderful client, I had the chance of meeting other colleagues who were looking, for other translators to build up a team. And those colleagues happened to be here in Buenos Aires as well. So it was a wonderful way of meeting other colleagues and start a new business relationship and getting a larger and larger network every day. So I really encourage you to do so. So, well, thank you very much for listening to my testimonial, and I hope to have encouraged you. And in case of any doubts, you can contact me directly. Cheers!
Hello everyone, nice to see all of you today with me. Hi. Nice day, right? Okay, there is one question saying that there was someone confused because they weren't sure if this was the interview. Yes, it is, so don't you worry, you are in the right place. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today for this incredible TV event. Today, I'll be your host, Luana, without Jared, just me, so I'm so sorry for that. For this incredible occasion, we will have an interview with Rosen Ivanov. But before starting, I just wanted to mention a few things so everyone, we are all on the same page, right? The first one, I know that you will be asking this, and I just want to make you feel assured that yes, the event is being recorded and will be available as soon as the event finishes. So don't worry about that. Hello, Crystal. Hello, Lena. Hello, Katy. Rafael. Thank you so much for joining. Where are you right now, guys? Tell me. Share with me. Hi, Laura. Great. That being said, this specific event, it will be remain available for everyone in all social media. So it will be on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and heropress.com. It will be free and available for everyone as long as they want to watch it, see it. So if something happens, don't you worry. You can go or come back as many times as you want, because later you will be able to catch up where you left it, right? Cape Town, South Africa, USA, Italy, Brazil, France, Italy again, nice, UAE. Nice, Ali. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And that being said, this is I just mentioned it, but I'll mention it once again. This is an interview with Rosen Ivanov, and after the interview, you will have the chance to ask yourselves the questions that you think that weren't answered as maybe you wanted, or maybe you have another questions that wasn't being mentioned during the interview. So don't you worry. So you will be able to let us know any question or doubt you have afterwards, right? Israel, Orlando, Florida, nice. Great. Awesome. Uh, that's basically all I have to say for now. In the interview, I already talked a little bit about who Rosen is and what the interview is about. Yes. So let's get started with that. And I hope to see you again for the Q&A session. See you in a bit, guys. Enjoy the interview. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible TV event. For this particular occasion, we are having an interview with Rosen Ivanov. So yes, I'm really happy for that. So before getting started, I want to talk a little bit about who Rosen is and what this interview is about, right? So about Rosen, he is an experienced localization professional with over a decade of experience in account management, project management, business development, and operations. Throughout his career, he has managed multilingual localization projects for global clients across a wide range of industries, while also leading client relationships, operational improvements, team development, and process optimization initiatives. What about this interview? So, in this interview with Rosen, he is going to demystify the operational backend of the localization world by breaking down the distinct day to day realities of project managers and account managers. He will explain us how experienced linguists hold an inherent advantage when transitioning into these management roles, and proving that a formal business degree isn't necessary to succeed. The conversation will deliver a practical playbook on navigating tight deadlines, managing high pressure crises, and thriving alongside AI automation, while also offering actionable advice to help professionals conquer imposter syndrome and avoid common rookie pitfalls. So, welcome, Rosen. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a nice day. It was like really cold days the last few days, so today is like really warm. So I'm happy about it. So let's get started. What do you think?
I think we should get started.
Awesome. So the first question would it be, Rosen? Many people outside the localization industry think that translation is simply about covering text from one language into another, but behind every successful multilingual project, there is an entire operational process, right? Could you please explain what actually happens behind the scenes and why account managers and project managers have become such essential roles in today's localization industry?
Sure. So, I think that's a really good question because I think most people only see the translation itself. They don't really see like everything that's happening behind the scenes. So usually when a client sends a project, it doesn't go straight to the translator. First, someone need to understand exactly what the client needs. And usually, that person is the account manager. They work directly with the client. They understand their business. They answer their questions, and they make sure that everything is aligned before the project even starts. Then the project is sent to the project manager, which takes over the operational side. And they prepare the project. They assign the right linguist. They try to coordinate everything. They try to adapt if something changes. So basically, they keep the entire project moving from start to finish. And so, although the two roles are very different, they're constantly actually working together. And that's why I always try to use the analogy of a restaurant where the account manager is kind of like the server who's serving the restaurant, but the project manager is actually the cook behind the house. So
And yes,
I
nice analogy. Yes, yes, that's great. Yeah, sorry,
I
continue.
no worries. And I also think that people sometimes imagine that these jobs are about like the spreadsheets, the emails, and of course, there is administration involved. But that's not what really defined the role. What really defined the role, I think, is the organization, the problem solving, and that every different aspect requires attention to the detail. I think that's what explains the roles best.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. So, you know that many of our viewers are professional translators or reviewers who have spent years working on localization projects, right? At what point do you think that people usually start thinking about moving into account management or project management? And what are some of the most common reasons they decide to make this transition?
Well, I think that there are usually two types of people. The first group is genuinely the translation people that they just enjoy translation, but after a few years they just start looking for a new challenge. They've worked like hundreds, sometimes even thousands of projects, and now they're starting to become more curious about actually what's happening behind the scenes. And I think the second group is looking for a career growth. As a translator, you're often paid for the amount of work that you produce. Some people eventually, I think they reach a point where they want more responsibility, more interaction with people, or simply a different type of career. And I think that account management and project management offers exactly that. And I actually think that linguists have a great starting point because they already understand the localization. They know what capitals are, they understand deadlines, terminologies, qualities, clients' instructions. So so all the things that coming from this industry, they already know the lingo, sort of speaking. And I think that that's why they have a little bit of advantage over the other people. But I also want to mention that this transition is not only for linguists, people from customer service, administration, operation, project coordination can also transition into the roles because they already have the core skills which are transferable for these specific positions.
Do you think that translators or language professionals who is also transitioning into account management or project management, they can start by continue doing both things at the beginning once they decide where to want to transition specifically, or if they want to just stay as translators slash interpreters slash language professionals?
I think that they can do both. For a certain period of time, they can kind of sort of test it out and see if it works for them. Because at the end of the day, you have to start working to see if this is something that you can do, that you actually like, because it's different from what they're doing at the moment. But at the same time, it's also good for them because they can always transition slowly. It doesn't need to be cold turkey and be right away. It can happen step by step.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. The last question that I have is and it is something that I think it's not a question that I only have, but many other people that we hear quite oftenly is that if whether someone actually needs a business degree or a formal management education to become an account manager or project manager. From your experience, what qualities and skills do localization companies really look for when hiring people into these kinds of roles?
So I actually get this question quite often, and the short answer for the degree is no. In my experience, most localization companies don't expect you to have a business degree or a project management certification or any other type of certification. Of course, those things can be advantage, but they're definitely not a requirement. Let's put it like that. What companies are actually looking for is someone who's organized, who communicates well, who pays attention to the details, who enjoys working with people. Because these roles are all about coordination, problem solving, and keeping projects or clients moving in the right direction. So I would say that the attitude is probably incredibly important because if you think about it, you can teach someone how to use a translation management system, or you can explain the internal workflow. But it's much harder to teach someone to be proactive, to be reliable, to be a multitasker. You know, those skills are more hard to teach. So that's why companies try to find them rather than trying to have experience in the lingo.
Okay. And you also mentioned before that linguists already have a significant advantage when moving into project management or account management. Why? Why do you think so?
Well, I think because linguists, they already are part of the industry because they already know the end of the chain, let's put it like that. They know how to do the translation. They know um the work with project managers because they keep close connection. They communicate with each other every single day, and sort of speaking, they already know a lot of things that someone who's new to the industry have to learn from the beginning. It's like starting from the A B. So you need to learn like how the whole process goes. What's a translation cat tool? What's a translation memory system? a lot of things you have to learn from the bottom in order to get to the level that you now understand the lingo, and now you can start learning about the industry and how everything operates. And linguists, they already know that. They just have to learn the management side of it. And I think that's where they have advantage. Of course, I'm not saying that if you don't have experience as a linguist, you will fail and you won't be able to become a good project manager or account manager. I myself am not a linguist. I don't have a linguistic background, and yet it was an interesting new challenge that I decided to take on, and it actually turned out very well. But that's why I'm saying that linguists have a sort of an advantage at the beginning, of course, um, which can help them transition faster than any other role, for example.
And what skills do you think that both managers, project managers, and professional language professionals have in common that can help them transitioning from one to another?
I think it's mostly about the instructions from one side. From other side is, like I said, knowing the whole industry and how things work. For the linguist, they just have to learn how to. If they go to account management, they just have to learn how to work with the clients more, because up until now their work was mainly with the project managers. And if they try to transition to the project management, they just have to see how they're communicating, not with the linguist because they already know that part, but rather they have to focus growing on the communication with the account managers, because project managers, they communicate in two ways. One way is with the resources, with the linguists, and the other way is with the account managers. So this the communication with the account managers and the client requirements will be the new thing that the project managers will be um, learning uh, to become actually the project managers. But other than these things, they already know like the whole process, so they don't have to start learning from the scratch.
That being said, then what are the main differences between a linguist and a professional or account manager, project manager?
I think that probably the biggest difference is the work that they're doing. I think that the account manager, like I said in my analogy, is like the server in a restaurant. So whenever someone comes to the restaurant, the first person that they meet is actually the server who greets them. It's like, hello, how are you doing? Can I sit you down? And like the account manager is exactly like that. When you are having a new customer and you are trying to learn everything about them, what they like, what's their type of business, whether they are they a consultant company, are they a marketing company? All these details, you have to become like their best friend. Like they need to rely on you for everything, and that's a relationship you build over time. And the account manager is basically responsible for knowing what the customer wants. It's so at some point when the customer tells you I need this, he's telling you I need a lot more things, but you already know about these things, so that's why I'm telling you that I just need this. And this is what the account manager does. And the other side of the account manager is now taking those wishes from the client. He needs to represent them in the best possible way to the project manager. So the project manager needs to understand exactly what the client needs. And then the project manager from their side needs to make this happen. So now the order went to the chef who needs to cook the food, or in our case, he needs to make the client's wishes come true. Whether they need a new poster for their marketing campaign in some countries or something else, the project manager is the person who will make it happen. He will contact the people that he needs to contact. He will make sure that everything goes smoothly. He will communicate back to the account manager if something happens. So if I try to explain to in a very simple way, those two positions are like the two sides of one coin. They're different, but they're connected together because at the end of the day, both the account manager and the project manager work together to make the client happy so they can receive what they wanted. And when the client is happy, everyone is happy, of course.
I think that we talk a lot about managers, account managers, but we still haven't defined very well what are those kind of roles, and what is supposed a project manager or account manager supposed to do, right? So what are like the? Can you please give us a brief explanation of what a project manager is, what an account manager is, and what are the main differences between them? Because I think that many people know that they are similar, but they don't know why they are different, right?
Yep. So the the main difference I would say is in the relationship that they're having and in the work that they're doing. And the account manager and the project manager, they also overlap a little bit because they have to. I mean, it's one industry. Um, but the one thing that the account manager is different is his communication directly with the client. So that's one difference, is that while project manager works only in-house, it doesn't, we call it like that, you don't leave the house. The account manager is in constant communication with the outside. He knows the clients. He's taking their requests. Even if something changes in, in the middle of the project, it's the account manager who first is being notified, because regardless if it's coming the change from the linguist that something happened and he got sick, for example, or the client decided that we're going to add something in the middle of the project, it's the account manager who firstly needs to know everything about the whole project. So he needs to like overhead the project, because he, at the end of the day, he will be the responsible person in front of the client if something happens. It's not going to be the translator. It's not going to be the project manager. It will be the account manager who will be communicating with the client. So that's like one of the main differences. And the other side is the project manager. From their side, he is having a direct communication with the translator, the proofreader, the QA, the GTPer. So all the people who are working, and he doesn't have a communication with the client. And that's why I see it as they're different, but also they need to communicate with each other a lot, because they need to make sure that both sides know what's happening. From one side, the account manager needs to make sure that the client knows what's happening all the time, and from the other side, the project manager needs to make sure that the linguists are following. They know what's happening on their side. Nothing is being delayed. No new instructions are coming. And those are like, I I think those are the main differences in terms of like the production work itself, like knowing CAP tools or TMS systems and etc. Both the account manager and the project manager, they need to know these things as well as the linguist. So that's why, again, we are seeing the connection, how the linguists are having the little bit advantage of transitioning in these roles. And the other thing, from my experience, I can say that the account management is leaning more towards the people that are more sales oriented, whether the project management is leaning more to people that are more organized and like to follow a lot of things, a lot of moving parts and etc., and they're good at coordination in general. So I hope like this gives a good perspective about the differences.
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you so much for that. Localization projects can involve dozens of languages, multiple linguists, tight deadlines, engineering work, desktop publishing, client revisions, and unexpected last minute changes, right? And many, many more things. From a project manager's perspective, how do you think that they stay in control when so many things are moving, and how to make all of that to come together successfully?
So I think it comes down to one simple thing. They already understand in the industry. I An experienced linguist has probably worked on hundreds or even thousands of projects. They've communicated with project managers, followed client instructions, worked with CAT tools, managed terminology, and etc. So think about like this: if you are at your work and you received an instant news, if you try to panic and react right away, it will be, a disaster. It's like the same analogy for project managers and how they keep control on everything. The first thing is organization and order. You don't panic, you don't go into survival mode, and because a lot of people think that organization means that you need to have, for example, everything in Excel. You need to follow up the graphics. You need to know what's going on. But organization means also that you need to adapt fast, and you don't panic. You stay organized, even if things changes, because a lot of things is will change for the project manager. Um, it, a lot of things can happen. Like I said, the linguist can call and be like, I'm sick today, I cannot do it. Or the client can send a new file. Or they can say, I needed the file for 2 days, but now I need it tomorrow because it's an urgency. And so a lot of things can be thrown at you as a project manager. And oftentimes it's going to happen. That's the real case scenarios happening all the time, and the only way is you need to stay calm, you need to analyze the situation, and you need to see what you're going to do. For example, if the client says, I need this tomorrow urgently, you start thinking, okay, so now what do I have to do? I need to find more translators who can help the work so we can finish early, so we can deliver to the client. How do I find these translators? Now I'm going to contact them and I'm going to see who's available and who can take the project. After they confirm, I send them the project and then we can make the client happy. Boom, done. Case done. If you go to survival mode, which is, I think, where most project managers fail, you start reacting right away. You're like, client tells you something happens, and the first reaction is, I'm sorry, we cannot help you. We cannot deliver for tomorrow, but that doesn't make the client happy. And at the end of the day, we're trying to make the client happy and trying to move the projects forward. So that's why the best way is to stay organized.
And do you think that PMs or AMs, they can have in their schedule like a few hours per day or a few things that they know that they may fail in the future, or that things can go wrong, and so they have like this period of time to to fix whatever is broken? Do you think that it is a common practice or something like that?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Yes.
Every experienced account manager and project manager is planning their day from start till end. They know exactly what to expect. They know exactly when are the even during the day. They know exactly when the clients can contact them if something goes wrong. They know when to expect the linguist reply. They know that if a linguist, for example, didn't reply, that something is wrong already and they have to contact them via phone or something like that. So specifically, they know the day, and yes, they are leaving what we call buffers of time so you can actually react if something happens. Because if you plan your day from the start till the end and you don't have any space, then if something goes wrong, then this means it will mess with the rest of the schedule. So even if the issue you fix urgently is okay, that means that the time you spend fixing this affected already something that was planned for the day. So that's why the idea is to try to set your day in a way that you leave yourself space where you can react. Otherwise,
Mhm.
you'll get probably crushed by the work. And at the end of the day, that's not the point.
That's what we want to avoid. Yes, absolutely. Awesome. Let's go for the last question. So throughout your career, you've worked with many account managers and project managers, right? At different stages of their development. Looking back, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see new professionals making during their first months on the job, and what simple habits can help them become successful even much more quickly?
So many new project managers and account managers are afraid to ask questions because they don't want to look inexperienced. But I personally think that in reality, asking questions is actually one of the fastest ways you can learn. And I think another mistake is to try to solve every problem on your own. I think that localization is a team effort, so you don't have to be afraid to ask your colleague, for example, for advice. And I also say communication is often underestimated because most problems can be avoided simply by communicating early. If something isn't going according to plan, it's best to let people know before it becomes a bigger issue. Regardless if it's going to affect the project, if the client is you think is going to get mad, it's always better to let them know in advance. And finally, to stay organized and to take notes. Because during the first few months, you will learn a lot of process. You have, I don't know, your own system that will make the schedule easy. But at the end of the day, nobody expects for someone new to be perfect. They expect for the person to learn, to improve, and to become more confident with every project. But they don't expect you to come and be like, I know everything. You don't have to teach me. I can start working right away. Like, it's gonna be take time for someone to lean into the position, and that will happen naturally and gradually.
Awesome. Great. And the final question. If someone who is watching this interview right now and they realize that they want to transition into account management or project management, or perhaps they simply want to understand how localization companies really operate, what would you recommend as the best way to build those skills and prepare for a successful career in the industry?
I think that the first step is simply deciding that you're ready to invest in yourself and in your career. And you have to start by understanding how the localization industry works, because that's the foundation on which everything is built on. You have to learn the responsibilities of both the account managers and the project managers. You have to develop the communication and the organizational skill. And I think that you don't have to be afraid to apply, even if you don't meet every single requirement. Because I think that every company has their own tools, their own workflows, their own internal processes. And so nobody expects you to know everything from day one. So what they're looking for is someone who's right, who has the right attitude, the willingness to learn, and the potential to grow. And this is exactly why we created this course, to give people a solid foundation and to help them understand what these roles are really about, and to make the transition into the localization management much easier, and for the linguists to feel more confident that they can actually transition smoother.
And yes, everybody. So the course that he's talking about is the one called Mastering Localization Account and Project Management from Fundamentals to Career Success. So don't worry. Let me put the link on the chat. So Luana, go ahead and put the link on the chat, and there you will be able to see that this is a brand new course. We have a special launch offer, so go ahead and check it out. And thank you so much, Rosen. These are all the questions that I have for this interview in particular, but right now we're going to answer some of the attendees' questions, right?
Yep.
So thank you so much for the interview, and let's meet again in a few seconds. Awesome. Perfect. So give me please a few seconds so that I can bring Rosen with me and we can get started with the Q&A session. I already see some questions, but I know that you have more, so please write them in the chat box so we can see it. Perfect. Hi, Rosen. Hi again. How is
Hello, hello.
everything?
Everything is good, and I can see a lot of interesting questions in the chat from a lot of the people. And I think we can wait a couple more minutes to see if we will have more questions, and then we can start with the questions, right?
Yes, we can start with one while we keep on waiting for more people to write down and see what are the tabs, right? So the first one is from Elise Lemer and says, question, what are the weaknesses that translators have when transitioning into AM or PM roles?
That's a really good question. And I think the main, I wouldn't say like a weakness, but I would say maybe like a little bit of disadvantage is in the mindset. Because as far as I know, when a translator is working, he knows what he's doing, and he, for example, takes on a project, and he knows that he's going to be busy with this project for the next, let's say, 3 days. So he knows that on day two he won't take any more work. On day three he won't take any more work until he finishes the work that he has already taken. Now, in contrast with the account manager and the project manager, you should be able to take as much requests as possible, even though you can be very, very busy. You should still have the time to look at a new request and process the new request. So it's more like a mindset shift. But that's something that you also manage to learn, and most companies will not start right away giving you a lot of clients so you don't stress out. It's common practice for the companies to give you a little bit of clients in the beginning so you can just start working with them and learn like how is exactly working with these clients on a daily basis. And the more you work, the more familiarized you get with them, and it will be much, much easier with time passing by.
Nice, thank you. Perfect. The next one is from Himalay and says, question, how can a PM deal with a situation if she or he has very limited number of such expert translators that could provide a high-end translation, but take too long to deliver?
Okay, so that's actually a classic situation. I think this person knows what's going on in the industry because this happens very often. You will see the requirement for the client that you need a very high-end translation for a short amount of time. And so it naturally you have several options. One is if you will need more time, then you let know the client in advance and you tell them it's great that you want the high-end quality translation, but unfortunately we'll need more time. So it's either can we get more time, or um, we can do the translation at a lower level, or if we can try to figure out the third option, which can be instead of using one translator, can we use, let's say, two or three translators so we can save up the time and still deliver the quality. But it might be more expensive because then you will rush the translators and sometimes they will require a rush uh, payment. So in any case, the best possible way is to analyze the situation, see what are the options, option number one, option number two, option number three, and give those options to the client. This way, they will choose what is working best for them. Is it they can give you more time? Is it they will compromise a little bit on the quality so they can get their delivery faster? Or is it something else? But in anyways, I think honesty is the best way, because at least you build a good relationship with your client. And if it's not working, sometimes you will have situations where you will just have to reject the project because you cannot meet the requirements, and it's nothing bad to do this, because in my opinion it's better to refuse a project with the client rather than accepting it and then fail with the project.
Failing them, yes. And for that, it will depend a lot also, I imagine, right? That it also depends on what the clients wants, if they want like a fast delivery or if they want really want to have like both quality and it is a tight deadline. How do you explain this to the client? Like, okay, I can deliver one or the other, not both right now because of the circumstances. How do you explain that to the client directly?
Well, we usually have sort of a metrics. When I say metrics, I can give a little bit of details here. Usually, a linguist can translate up to a certain amount of volume per day. Let's say if you work 8 hours, for example, you can translate this amount of time. Um, and we can't really ask translators to work more. We can do it unofficially as a friendly request and be like, "Hey, can you try to do it still for today? But it might require you to work more." Um, so at the end of the day, you just go with the truth with the client. You explain the maximum capacity that we can do with one linguist, for example, is 2,000 or maybe 3,000 words per day. And for you asking 5,000 words to be done by tomorrow, it will simply be much, much harder. To finish with one linguist. And that's when you explain also the details behind on why something is not possible, then the client will most cases will understand the situation. Even though if you cannot take the project, it's still good that you explain why you don't take it.
Awesome, thank you. So let's go for the next question. This one is from Walid and says, how advantageous do you think having a PM certification is to finding work as a PM? I see that many people are more interested into being PMs than AMs. That's interesting. Okay, so yes, sorry. The answer.
So the simple answer is that the PM certification will give you a method of working, a method of how you schedule your work. Because if you have not worked as a project manager and you step in, this is something that you have to learn from the bottom, how to organize your day and how to follow up on your requests. Because most people don't realize what is a day in a PM's role. Well, what is happening? Because your day is not just you just receive new work and then you find linguists who can do the work and that's it. It's far away from that. You have like a long graph with all the projects that you're handling, and every day you're checking what project is at what stage and what needs to be done. And on the other hand, this is the existing projects. And on the other hand, you have another wave of new projects which you now need to process and find the best linguist, schedule the deadlines between the different steps, which will be like translation or editing or QA, etc. So the PM certification will give you sort of a solid ground on which you can learn how to organize your day. Um, what type of tools you can use, how to be most effective, and things like that. So in general, like I said in the interview, it's a plus if you have PM certification for sure, but it's not a must when you apply for a work.
Awesome, perfect. And this one is a really interesting one. It's from Pavel Konstantinov, and he expresses, or she, a situation, right? A bit of tangential question. As both as a freelancer, an owner of a small specialized LSP, where I juggle being a PM myself, how can I find out if it is time to hire a dedicated PM, and what is a good way to find one?
That's an interesting question. I would say if you are Pavel, I hope I'm saying this right. So if you are busy enough, having work as a translator, and you don't have the time to do your other part as a PM yourself, then I think it's time to find a PM. A good way to find a PM is
Of course.
uh, yeah, there. Um, so yeah, it's basically this. If you're busy enough with your work as a translator and you don't have the time for the PM, then yes, find a PM. Now, how to schedule the work of the PM? You also need to choose if you want your PM to be more oriented towards the clients. And if yes, then you're looking for a person who's more sales oriented, sort of speaking. If you're looking for a PM that he just needs to organize the work because you have more work than you can handle, then you need someone who has good organizational skills. So that will be my advice when you're looking for the PM for your company.
Awesome, thank you. Hope that explains Papel. And then we have two questions from Emmanuel Dele Adesua. The first one is, as an experienced freelance translator looking to transition into localization project management, what specific skills or achievements should I highlight on my CV to make myself attractive to language service providers hiring project managers?
So, great question, by the way. I think that firstly, you shouldn't highlight skills in your CV, and I'm gonna share this really, really as a friendly advice. It's because most agencies, when they look at CVs and they see things like a multitasker, a team player, and things like that, they don't really speak a lot to the company because basically everyone can write themselves, "I can do this." But the reality is what your experience can bring to this new role. So if you are a experienced freelance translator, you should highlight that you know how to work with CAT tools, that you understand, for example, what's a translation management system, what's a TM, that you basically understand how the work is done at the end, and you should explain that you're now willing to transition and learn the project management side of the work, but you already know the linguistic side. And when people see that you're being realistic, that you show the actual skills and knowledge that you have, and you will apply these to your new position, they will be more than happy to train you from a linguist to become a project manager.
Mhm. And well, you mentioned right now that instead of highlighting skills, they should write down what they want to write to transition. How when I haven't like seen a CV from somebody in a while for now, but how do you express that? Like in a short bio, how do you, well, where will you put that you're a translator who are willing to go into the localization, the process, market, how?
I'm sorry, you break down a little bit.
Oh,
Could you?
sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's give me the chance to rephrase the question. You mentioned that in that case, in the CV, you should then explain that you're a translator willing to start working on or initiating into project management, right? In which part of the CV will you put that? Like in a short bio, before or after the translations that you've worked with? What kind of view will you give to the CV itself?
So, if I personally was a translator, I would firstly list obviously my experience. And I'll say why. Because when a company is deciding on a project manager, they usually also have clients that are ready to work with the new project manager, or they have an existing clients that needs to be transferred to someone new. And so these clients usually have either specific requirements, meaning that they specialize in medicine or different kind of subject, or they specialize in different language pairs. So when we, for example, are looking for a CV, if we review a CV of a translator professional, the first thing that we're looking for is what type of languages this person has worked with or can support. And the other thing is what type of subjects this person understands. Why? Because if he has done a lot of medical translations, that means that this person is has a good knowledge in medicine, and so clients which have a lot of medical projects will be more suitable to be his clients, and so he will become their project manager. Why is this beneficial? Because when they have specific projects, they don't simply go and say the subject is medicine. They have a lot more details saying that, for example, this is dentistry, or this can be clinical trials, or this can be. And when this person has work with such content, it's very easy to understand what the client needs because they can explain. This is a clinical trials. We just need someone to review and check them quickly, and he knows what type of work needs to be done here. And especially if it's the language barrier that he also has worked, it is something that he can look real quickly, understand exactly what needs to be done. While if it's someone who's outside of the industry, not a translator, does has not translated medical subject, it will be a lot harder if someone comes in and tries to explain in details what they need. So that's the one thing. And the second thing that we see, that we look in the CV, even if it's not a translator, are what are the experiences that this person has. This is from where we try to get what skills they would have eventually. So if it's someone who, for example, has worked in customer support for some company outside of the linguistic industry completely, they still have skills that are transferable because one, they have talked with customers directly, meaning they know how to talk with customers, they know how to write emails to customers, they know how to handle a difficult situation under pressure because sometimes clients will call you on the phone and be very angry or frustrated, and you need to be able to calm them down. So that's why I'm saying that we don't specifically look for skills written in the CV. We try to look more of what experience this person has and what skills they have developed through these experiences that they have.
Perfect. And you also mentioned, I think that with the previous question and with this one, that there are like different types of managers, right? And it will depend on what the client needs and what the agency is it's needing to, right? So that's something that you may also want to showcase to the public. Like, I'm specialized into medical translation, and I know how to handle these kind of situations, and so on, right?
Yes, yes, because in the industry, you as a project manager will learn a lot of different things, but you cannot learn everything. For example, in our company, we have so many different clients with so many specific requirements and CAD tools and different TMS system that the only way that we can serve them best is we try to regroup our teams. So we
Mhm.
have project managers that specialize only in certain CAD tools and certain specific TMS systems, and we have others which specialize in others. This way, we're managed to redistribute the workload evenly. So again, we can serve our clients, but also we can become experts in the fields that we are assigned to. Meaning that it's easier if someone is working, let's say, and knowing only three CAD tools rather than someone working with 25 but know them kind of well.
Perfect. Thank you. Awesome. And now let's go for the second question that Emmanuel had. And it says, with AI and machine translation becoming increasingly integrated into localization workflows, right? What technical and interpersonal skills do you believe will most distinguish successful project managers and account managers over the next 5 years? Good
Okay,
one.
so that's a big subject about the AI. I will not lie, and the truth is, we are also not 100% sure in which direction you should go. I mean, definitely AI has changed the industry, like everybody here knows, and it's something that is truly becoming something big in its use on a daily basis. So my advice is, of course, that you need to learn AI, and especially AIs that are specializing in translation. But there is no possible way for you to learn all of the AIs. I'm speaking this from experience. On a daily basis, we can find at least new maybe 20 to 50 different AIs that can now translate, interpreter, do subtitles, do different things. And we can't keep up with them because there's so many and so new. So my advice will be it's good to stay informed about the new technology and the AI, but not overdo it because if you try to learn everything new and follow up on every single trend about AI, you will be just flooded with news and news and news. And the idea is just for you to know the most relevant ones, the ones that are actually bringing you some value.
Awesome. Mhm. Okay. And Laura, I don't know, we have two more questions. The first one is from Hannah and says, hi, Rosen. Any advice for manager burnout work overload?
Time off. I That's the only, in my experience, the only way to avoid burning out is firstly try to take some time off. I see a lot of young professionals, they try to prove themselves and try to work as hard as possible, as much as possible. But we also need to point out that at the end of the day, we're people and we need some time off to blow off some steam, like I like to say. And if you don't do that, even though you think that everything is good, you will slowly start to see how over time uh, you will start slowly burning out and you will start losing interest in your job. And the more this is growing, the worse it will become. The second thing is, even after you take some time off and you get back and you still feel like you're burning out, it means that you're taking probably more work than you can handle. One of the best ways to speak with your manager, for example, and explain that the workload that you're currently taking is burning you out. And there is nothing wrong or shameful with that, sharing this, because at the end of the day, your health is at most important. It's not the job. So try to take care of yourself, try to take some time off, and if this still does not work, then speak with your manager, explain the situation calmly, and try to resolve them with them.
Awesome. Great, great answer. And the question, the next question is from Laura FN and says, do you have experience in the audiovisual or publishing sectors? Can you give us a piece of advice as translators trying to improve our work with PMs and AMs?
Sure. The best advice is communication. I feel like a lot of the times misunderstanding between um, translators and account managers or project managers come from the fact that there is not enough communication. And it usually starts from the client. When the client sends a particular project or request, they should explain exactly what they want, but sometimes the client themselves don't know what they want. They just send you the request and they think that's it. So firstly, it's the account manager's role to ask these questions if something is missing as important information. And then when the client clarifies this information, the account manager should pass this information to the project manager very clearly with a lot of explanation. So nothing is left for interpreting, it's just all clear. And then the project manager, again, needs to do the same with the resources, regardless if it's a translator or editor or a QA or a DTPer, it doesn't matter. It's the project manager who needs to explain very clearly and in detail what needs to be done. So, and oftentimes I can see that sometimes account manager does not ask the right questions to the client. They just take the work and they just forward it to the project manager. And if the project manager is busy, he can also do the same. Just take the information from the account manager. Don't really need reads and understands it. Just straight away send it to the translator, and then the translator is looking at the information and he's seeing the details are missing and he starts asking questions. And then the PM is asking questions to the AM, and then the AM is asking questions to the client, and then client is asking, why haven't you guys asked me before you accept the project, because you already did, and it seems that this was unclear. And it becomes a lot of mess and very unfortunate situation, making the account manager look unprofessional, making the project manager look unprofessional. So it's not the translator's fault if information is missing. Most of the time, it will be either the project manager or the account manager. So that's why the key is communication. Very detailed, very often. Um, I personally, from my experience, when I was working as a PM, I used to have even the phones of some of the translators that we were communicating directly, because sometimes instead of writing an email and waiting for them to check it, it's much faster if it's just ring on the phone and be like, hey, just to let you know, we just need to do this additionally. And they will be like, okay, that's good. And it's a lot faster. So, yes, communication is the key.
Awesome. And I want to end this live Q&A session, which already we took some time, but I really want to finish with one last question, and it's about the job market. How high it is the demand right now for professionals who are willing to pivot into these two jobs offers?
It is quite high, and I think it is quite high is because I can see that at some point, people realize that this work is not for them. I can see a lot of the people starting in this industry, and specifically in those two positions, and then after a year or maybe two, they just decide that this is not for them. It's too much work, it's too complicated, it's too time consuming even. So I see a lot of the time that a lot of companies are looking for professionals specifically for these two roles. And maybe the reason is because there isn't like a unique training system that can help you in this, because every company is very specific. Even if you have work for, let's say, 5 companies as project manager, if you go to the sixth company as a project manager, you can see that they have a completely different set of working rules and procedures and etc. And so you have to adapt again. But in general, I can see that companies are always willing to invest in their resources. And They're looking for the professionals because at the end of the day, the bigger experience someone has, the better. And also, if they manage to work for a longer period of time, they become more familiar with their clients. They know their specifics, so the job naturally becomes easier for them over a longer period of time. But if they try to switch the job every 1 or 2 years, it becomes much harder because you have just learn everything about your clients and your company and your translators and your linguists, and now you decided it's too much. You should take a new advantage and you start over. So that's why I think that probably there is a huge demand for these two professions.
So perfect. That being said, I think that that's all that we have for today, right? Just wanted to see if I'm not missing any other question. That's great. I think that we answered all of them.
I hope that we didn't miss any of the questions.
Yes, I'm putting over here, and let me also add it again to the chat box, the link to the course. And well, in case that with this interview, or maybe it was something that you were really thinking of and you were missing the last push to start and to learn and to become a PM or an AM, then this is you your chance, right? So here you will be able to see the link. Go ahead and check it out. The course is called Mastering Localization Account and Project Management, and from fundamentals to career success, right? And let me show you a little bit about how does the course look, so you can see what you can expect from this course, right? Let me put here. Here. And right now, let me also mention that we right now have a limited offer for those who are, because sorry, I'm just trying to do a lot of things at the very same time and I can't say anything at all. Awesome. One thing at a time. So here. So we have a limited time offer that expires in 24 hours because it is a brand new course. And so because of that, then we have a limited offer for those who are just willing to take the advantage, right? And now I'm sharing my screen. Perfect. Here. Here. Awesome. Perfect. No Vimeo. Okay. Contact here. There we go. Now we have it. And this is the course that we are talking about in this interview slash TV event. Mastering Localization Account and Project Management, from fundamentals to career success. Here you will see the course format, the core logic behind your learning journey. We have 4 modules and the desired outcome. We have a lot of interactive quizzes and self-reflection assessments. Here you will see the modules. This is module 1, module 2, module 3. Can you confirm me, Rosen, that you can see it good?
Yep.
As a perfect. Uh-huh. And with your certification, the final step, everything. And in this course, we are not only teaching people how to become a PM, but also how to improve your LinkedIn, your CV, profiles everywhere, so you can showcase yourself as a professional AM or PM. That being said, thank you so much, Rosen, for the time that we spent here with the audience. Thank you so much for answering all the questions that these users had, and I really hope that I can see you again in a future occasion.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you to your audience and very good questions. And hopefully, I managed to help you guys so you can transition in your next steps.
Awesome, thank you. So bye, hi, bye everyone, and I hope to see you again for a future occasion. See you, Rosen. Bye bye. And again, hope to see you in a future occasion. Bye, guys.
Welcome! My name is Helen. I'm a ProjectCom staff member, and in this short video, I'm going to talk about the newly, freshly released self-paced course, which is called Mastering Localization Account and Project Management from Fundamentals to Career Success. This self-paced course is developed by One Stop Asia in partnership with Pro.com. We hope you enjoy this course and this short upcoming video. So let's have a look at the homepage of this training. Right here on the homepage, you can see a comprehensive description of exactly what this program delivers. The entire course is organized into 4 core modules. Module 1 covers the basics, breaking down the key differences between a project manager and an account manager. Then comes Module 2, and it focuses entirely on the PM role in localization. You will learn about vital operational skills like resource coordination and deadline tracking. The third module focused on AM roles. It covers how to build client relationship skills, topics on commercial account strategies, and many more topics. And finally, Module 4, it prepares you to become localization manager with a focus on leadership and better workflows. And now we can have a look inside of the course. It's really huge, as you can imagine, 20 hours of training and 35 deep dive lessons. Can you imagine that? Look at it. Yeah. So every lesson couples a core video with a practical task. You will work directly with real-world case studies to organically learn and practice the exact methodologies used by top project and account managers. Here is a video. One of the many.
Now that we have covered how to structure a client communication and discovery calls,
So you watch the video and then complete a short task. It can be a quiz, it can be a task for discussion, and you can even view your peer submission and share your own opinions, making it collaborative expertise experience. Sorry. So throughout these modules, you'll learn how to manage the full project lifecycle. You'll handle initial client requests, run project planning, oversee QA and risk management, and complete the final delivery. We have included practical career guidance. You will learn how to prepare a strong resume. You will learn how to talk to your potential clients, and you will practice proven interview strategies. You will also know what to expect during your first weeks on the job if you decide to switch from a freelance translator to a project or account manager role. And best of all, the platform works completely around your schedule. It's a self paced course. You can pause and resume your lesson at any time. You can track your progress easily. You can also adjust the video speed, and you just learn it at your own perfect pace. You will be guided by Rosen Ivanov. You already know him, and he is an industry specialist praised for his clear and practical teaching style. This is not the first training he is offering here at PROS, and you can see high marks, high rating of his training here at PROS. And this particular course gives you exact skills and confidence because it has been created by a professional, by a person who knows where it hurts. You will master proven workflows to fast track your career or transform your team's efficiency. And to mark our launch of this training today, we are offering $100 off full access to the next 24 hours. You can join today for just $199 instead of the regular $299 rate. Imagine $100 off. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to welcoming you to the program.